Welcome to Malcom Reed's How to Barbecue Right, a podcast where we talk about barbecue, share recipes, and discuss all things delicious. And now, here's your host, Malcom and Rachelle Reed.
Hey, welcome back to the How to Barbecue Right podcast. I'm your host, Malcom Reed. I'm joined by my lovely and talented wife, Miss Southern Shell. Shell, what's happening today?
Today is a great day.
Memorial Day weekend. You know, this kind of marks the halfway point for us in the year. I know we, not officially calendar-wise, but it always feels like when we get to Memorial Day weekend, we get to check up a little bit, enjoy ourselves. We got the pool open. I got my trunks on now. I said I'm all trunks all weekend. That's all. I'm not coming out. I'm ready to go poolside. I know we're going to cook some stuff, but we got Memphis.
This is the first weekend in a very long time that we've had nothing planned.
Nothing planned.
Nothing coming up. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing pressing. So we're going to enjoy ourselves. I know we're going to throw some stuff on the grill.
Yeah.
Probably not going to record anything. We'll probably do some Instagram stuff. It's hard not to do some Instagram shots when you're cooking just because that's what we do. But I'm not doing a recipe this weekend. I refuse to get in front of the camera.
I have on here people will ask us, I bet you're doing a big Memorial Day spread. Nope, we're doing hot dogs. We do our big spreads every other week.
I can't not cook some stuff.
Yeah,
so
we're going to cook a little, but we're not going to go all out.
For me, Memorial Day is all about ribs. I know we'll probably get to that after a while. I wanted to talk about, some different ways that I do ribs, and it's a great weekend to experiment because stuff's on sale, man. The stores have the charcoal on sale. They have the meat on sale. So, what do you want to talk about first today before we get into what we're doing this weekend?
Tennessee Mojo.
Man, I tell you what, coming to the podcast is a good luck charm. It worked for Jay. Well, we have him on 2 podcasts ago, right before Memphis In May. And he ended up winning first place. He's a world champion now.
He's a world champion.
Rib category. He put it on us. He was 32 spots ahead of us. We finished 33rd. I thought we had some really good ribs this time, and they turned out good. But, man, you got to have some luck at Memphis In May.
Yeah. They weren't my favorite ribs.
They weren't? What was wrong with them? Thought the texture was off a little bit? If I had to say anything, what I learned, and I always try to learn something when I cook, I took a Jolene out there, and she was our show grill. Because at Memphis In May, you got to put on a little dog and pony show, they call it, where the judges come. It's not just a blind box contest. The judges actually come on site. You got to decorate up. You got to make things look nice. That's your department. Yeah. You had our site looking great. And if you want to see pictures of that, you can go back and look on Instagram, look on Facebook. You put a bunch of them up. But I used Jolene for my presentation grill. We took the cutting board, put them on one side of her, decorated it up a little bit with some garnish, and put 4 beautiful slabs of ribs on there, and we shined her up and had it looking good. But the day before the contest, the Friday before, I actually fired her up, and we cooked 24 racks of ribs that day.
I shot a video that's coming out next week.
Yeah, you hadn't had time to put it together yet, so that's coming. But what I learned at that contest was, man, the ribs that we cooked on Friday, the texture, the tenderness of them were just amazing. And then the ones we cooked for the actual contest, we cooked on our Old Hickories, which Old Hickories do a fine job, but the texture was different. And I'm thinking, one reason why I got that Jambo is because I get beat by them all the time. You've heard me say that before, but I've never cooked. That's the first time I cooked baby backs on it was a day before Memphis In May, because I knew I was just using it for a show grill. Now I'm going back to the drawing board. I'm going to cook some on the Old Hickory, cook some on the Jambo, side by side, same recipe, and just see if it's the texture, what it was. Because, we ordered special ribs for the contest. We wanted the best we could get. Yeah. The meat, but the ones I cooked on Friday that had a better texture, they just came from Sam's Club. Mm-hmm. I think they might have been Smithfield on the box. I think it was a Smithfield on that case, but I just, I bought a case of ribs. There's 15 racks in it. And then I had some more in the freezer. We thawed those out, and the texture, hands down, everybody that came by our booth on Friday said that the texture was just phenomenal. And we may have overcooked those a little bit because, public ribs, people like a little more off the bone. But when I was cutting them up for the video, I was just like, man, the knife's going right through them. They're cutting perfect. When you tore them, they broke away just right. When you took that bite, it was just come right off the bone like it's supposed to. It didn't fall off. You got the bite. And I really love that texture. So, man.
And they had a little more savoriness.
I'm just warning you, there might be another Jambo in my future. I hadn't put a down payment down, but there might be another stick burner in my future because, man, hey, Tuffy won. Now, Tuffy Stone, hands down, awesome barbecue cook.
Yes.
He's won. I know he's won the Royal. He's won the Jack. Now he's won Memphis in May. He won Grand Champion he won first place in shoulders
before.
Yeah. He had a first place shoulder before.
One or two, possibly.
So he won the Grand Champion. What they do at Memphis is they take the top 3 teams, hog, shoulder, and ribs, and whoever has that high score in the final round, that category wins.
Yeah. Well, they take the top 3 out of ribs.
Each one, and then they rank them. Those judges rank them.
Top 3 out of hog, and then those 9 teams move on to a second round.
Which is completely start over.
Yeah, you completely start over. It's on-site only, so you have the 4 same judges go to all 9 teams, and then they rank them head-to-head. They go up to – that's when you actually go head-to-head with a rib versus a shoulder.
And we were ready for that.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed when they didn't come by, but – hey, Jay, hands down to Jay. He kicked some butt.
Well, we didn't know. Someone came down and said, "Do y'all have some plates? We need them for finals," which is what we call the final round. And I was like, "Yeah, maybe." And I said, "What do you need from me?" He goes, "Jay made finals." And I was like, "What?" We didn't know. We were breaking down.
Yeah, we were putting our stuff up because we didn't make it.
We asked who made finals, and somebody said, "I don't know."
Yeah,
and,
that was incredible because we're separated. That park's a mile long, and you got to imagine there's over close to 250 teams there, and I think in ribs is like 130 or something like that. But Jay was way away from us. He was way down past the stage, and we were kind of on the south end of the park.
Yeah.
But you ran down there, and y'all got some stuff together. Ran down there, watched him do his finals, and then
I teared up. I showed up late because we had a little incident. Everybody else had gone down there to watch Jay do his final presentation. So I came in late, and he was just sitting down with the judges at that point. And I don't know.
I wish you had record. I wish you'd been there to record it all because that'd have been
ahead
awesome.
of a camera and stuff.
But they were thrilled. I was so happy for him and his wife Jamie and the whole Nuts and Butts team because he cooks with the.
It's a company team.
Yeah, was it? Do you remember what Worth? I think it's Worth sponsors them, and Jay's been doing that. I guess 6 years, he's been in the top 10 3 times now. And won the world championship for the team. So that's amazing. Yeah. I mean, amazing. And he did it with his Mojo rub and some Killer Hogs hot. That's what I heard. That was the
Mojo
rumor.
And hot
Mojo and Hot won Memphis in May in ribs. So maybe that's where we went wrong. I need to add a little of the Mojo to my repertoire.
There we go.
The judges seem to love it. That's all I know. Judges love it. But that was our Memphis in May. We had a good time. Made it through it. I come out with I think everybody come out with a massive sinus infection. It was so dusty down there, and man, it was just that you could tell in the video I did this week because we filmed that beef rib video Tuesday, and I was dying. I mean, it's like, man, I couldn't hardly talk. Finally getting my voice back. I feel 1,000 times better today. I'm ready for the pool.
I know. I'm feeling great today. I feel like my bruises and scratches have healed. My
fingers aren't sore anymore.
Yeah. I'm back hydrated.
Yeah. All the beers wore off. But that was a good Memphis in May, man. Congrats to everybody that got called, and everybody that didn't. We're just going to practice up for next year and go down there and get tortured again.
I know.
I can't wait. I hope it's on the river. That's the big thing. Is Memphis in May going to move from Tombley Park? There's no official word. They haven't given an official word. We've heard rumors. No, it's not. It's going to move. I've heard the Corps delaying the park construction, so
I don't think it's going to move.
I mean,
after
I don't see
talking
them
to everybody that I talked to,
it brings too many people downtown. It's such a big tourist draw.
It's a big controversy, but I don't think it's going to move.
We'll cook it no matter where it is, just because it's Memphis in May.
But Durbin got it.
Jay got it.
You're my boy, Blue.
We got to have him back on here and talk. You think he'll open up and talk about it?
Oh yeah,
I think I can break him down. I think he'll cry.
I think so.
I'd cry. I ain't gonna lie. I'd be hugged up on you. We'd be bawling.
I did tell him. I said, Jay, whenever, because we knew he was in the top 3 at that point. Finals were over.
Yeah.
We knew he was in the top 3. We were waiting to find out, how he was going to shake out, if he was going to be 1, 2, or 3.
We were shooting apple pie. Somebody brought a jar and gave us a jar of apple pie.
It's always a very party atmosphere at the award ceremony. And the storm was rolling in. It cooled off a little bit. But I grabbed him and I said, whatever happens, first thing you do is you grab Jamie and give her a big old kiss.
And he did.
Because it hurts your
feelings.
I
got to shout out to Kendall, too.
Yeah,
Smoked and Spice. He come in 10th.
Which
and that
is
was
where Jay came in
awesome.
last
Yeah.
year.
And we ran into him last night at a restaurant here in town. And he's like, man, I'm happy because that's where Jay finished last year. He was 10. So that just means he's going to be first next year. So shout out to Kendall and
Not
Sarah.
if we have something to say about that, Kendall.
We're going to be first. Yeah. 33rd to first, from 33rd to first. Heard it here.
And I put on here on my notes that Jay works on Tennessee Mojo every single day. He gets off of his work, his regular job, comes home, and he's cooking and he's doing his pictures. And whatever. He's working on Tennessee Mojo every single day. So that goes to show you hard work
pays off.
It pays off.
Yeah. So give him a shout and tell him congratulations.
Yeah, always. We did have some great ancillaries.
Yeah, we cooked all the ancillary contests.
Yeah.
The turkey one was the one that was the great. What did we come in turkey? 12th or 14th or something like that. But the tacos did pretty well. Mm-hmm. And I shot that video last week leading up to it. I didn't want to release it before because I didn't want anybody to say, "Oh, you put it out there what you were doing." So we set it up to release after turkey. Yeah, I wish I would have. Maybe I'd have won. But they kind of threw us a little bit of a curveball because I've been practicing with bone-in turkey breast, and they gave us 2 of these monster boneless skin-on turkey breast. But man, that meat, was it honeysuckle rose, or is that what it's called? It's honeysuckle something, white and blue packaging. And that's, but I found the turkey lady. They actually were coming by taking pictures of some of the, what you were cooking and asking questions. So I was like, look, when are y'all going to have these in the grocery store? Cause we can't get them. So I'm hoping that, I can source some of those maybe around Thanksgiving and do something with some boneless turkey breasts like that. Cause I'm pretty sure.
Was excellent.
Man, it was just the texture of it was good. It was juicy. We didn't inject it. We just seasoned it with the Grande Gringo.
But it was better than any of the bone-in turkeys.
Oh man, it was so much better.
And everybody thought that. Yeah.
And it was fresh. That's right. That's right.
A lot of the turkey breasts we're getting had a lot of freeze and thaws.
Yeah. You don't know when they were grown or processed because they do so much for Thanksgiving, but.
Mark did chicken wings. They did good. He had an excellent looking box. Emily did bacon wrap.
Chicken bombs is kind of what I call them.
Yeah. They did pretty good. David Magnus did a beautiful filet for the beef entry.
Man, that meat the texture of it was perfect.
He got 10s in texture.
Yeah. We got to step that one up. I think the teams that were winning that was using like Snake River Wagyu and stuff.
And we were just using.
I think he got it at Kroger, I think.
Yeah,
he told me.
I'm sure.
It was just, choice beef tenderloin. Still fantastic. He started, my favorite thing was with that, it's like a blue cheese cream sauce that they filled that pepper up with that you dipped it in. Man, when he sliced that beef and you dipped it in there, it was just, melt in your mouth.
And we,
so good. I need to make that recipe. I wonder if he'd get mad if I put it out
there. The blue cheese sauce recipe?
Yeah, with
it's
the
delicious.
filet.
Yeah. It's got a little mayonnaise in it.
And sour cream, he told me. Yeah.
We also entered the seafood entry, and it was, with everything going on, that one got kind of pushed to the side last minute.
Yeah.
But we did bacon wrap stuffed shrimp, and they actually did pretty good.
They were 12.
We'd never cooked them before, or I'd never cooked them before because I'm the one that did it. And they ended up being 12.
That were good.
I want to redo it because now I know what I can do better.
I did a recipe on those a while back with crab. I put crab in the cream cheese, and that's the one thing you didn't do in that recipe.
Yeah, and
it needed a little. I think with a little work, a little bump, it'd do really well there.
Yeah.
I mean, because judges, you got to think they're seeing so much stuff that if you give them a good bite, when you get the bacon on it and this cream cheese, it's hard to beat something.
I pretty much used your recipe. I was afraid to have the crab out there too long, with the conditions.
That's right.
I didn't.
Well, the shrimp did fine though. I mean, they held up. They were frozen. We just kept them in the ice vendor, and they did fine.
But
so I think you'd be okay.
We did shoot a video of Mark pulling membrane off ribs.
Oh yeah, that one got a lot of watches, didn't it?
Yeah, people said he just got lucky.
He cheated, man. When you pull 24 membranes off right there in 15 minutes, I mean, there ain't nothing to it. I don't understand why people make a big deal about pulling rib membranes.
It used to be a bigger deal to you till you figured it out.
I mean, there's nothing to it. I don't remember it ever being a big deal to me, pulling rib membrane.
You used to put it underwater and try to pull it.
That was just because I just saw somebody doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, that works, but if you get a paper towel, you work your way, get your way in the middle, work your way under it a little bit, go all the way across and pull it straight up. come off every time.
What?
Now, spare ribs are a little different. They can be trickier because it just wants to break, and you got that little flap, that inside, I guess it's inside skirt or something.
What does the paper towel do?
Gives you some leverage and grip. That's the whole thing. It's hard to grab. My thing is I usually just use a blunt end of a butter knife or a spoon or something and get it started enough to work a finger under it and then go all the way under and grab it with a paper towel and pull it right up.
But he did all those that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't just a lucky one.
No, all of them pull. I mean, you're going to, now I wouldn't say the thing that makes them difficult is when they come from the processor and they've got these meat hooks where they're peeling out that rib and they hook it on the back and it tears the membrane. When you get, if the membrane hasn't been torn, it's been butchered properly, it comes right off. But when it gets tears in it, it's going to break at those tears, and that makes it harder to get off.
That makes it difficult.
But using the paper towel helps you get that leverage on there to go ahead and get it off. But starting in the middle instead of on the end also makes a difference.
That makes sense. You have less distance to go.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you're pulling from something that's anchored down instead of pulling away.
And real quick, wanted to just say we had a lot of help. Wanted to thank everybody who helped us for Memphis In May.
Oh, yeah. You got to have some help.
Yeah.
We're always taking volunteers, too. Anybody wants to come help at Memphis In May.
We're looking for young, strong people who are glutton for punishment.
If you like hard work and you like
dusty
barbecue, dusty environments, Memphis In May is for you.
Little pay.
Yeah. Low pay, long hours. But a lot of fun, I promise you. It's a lot of fun.
But Swine Life, always, Mark Williams, Emily Williams, Jamie Williams, Brian and Whitney from Son of a Butcher, Eddie Reed. He's been with us for ever, since we've been doing it.
As long as we've been doing it, yeah. Every year since we've been doing it, Eddie's been there. Excuse me.
And we even got a little help out of Ben Pickle this year.
Ben Pickle, David Magnus, he came and helped out.
Yeah. He did the 2 ancillaries. Yeah, he's always a big help.
That's right. Wayland built a heck of a rib box. We put that picture out there too. Man, that box was gorgeous.
It was one of the prettiest rib boxes I've seen. Okay.
That's all about Memphis In May. We're not going to talk about it till next year. I promise, because I'm not thinking about it anymore.
Mojo Beef Ribs.
Time to move on.
Mojo Beef Ribs.
Oh, man, yeah. Ooh, Mojo Beef Ribs. So, Jay had come out with his Mojo Beef. I guess he's had it out since the beginning of the year, right? Did he come out with the end of last year? But I had tried it. I've tried it on brisket. He's been using it in the SCA state contest and doing well with it. And since he won Memphis In May, I was like, man, I had some beef ribs that I wanted to do this week anyway for Memorial Day. So I'm going to put Jay's beef ribs on them and see how they turn out. And then I also made a Mojo mop, or basting liquid. And it was really simple. It's just beef broth, Worcestershire, soy sauce. And if you keep up with Jay on Instagram, you know he don't do salads. He don't do many vegetables, but he does pickles. That's his number one. That's his vegetable food group is pickles. So I said, well, in that base mop, how can I incorporate some Mojo flavor? I said pickle juice. So dill pickle juice is what I went with. And, I tasted it. When I mixed that up, and I said, well, I'm not going to use it unless it tastes good. And I tasted it, and it was really good. I was like, man, this stuff's, it might be my new brisket mop in the wrap.
Yeah.
Because it was really good. And when we went out to Arizona, that Little Miss Barbecue, I was told that they use a lot of pickle juice based in their baste or what they do. And so that's not something new. It's something that's been around, using pickle juice in a brisket mop. And so I tried it. I guess when I come back and did that, I had put some in there, but the ratio, I went a little heavy the first time. This ratio, the 2 tablespoons was perfect because you got some dill flavor and the vinegar wasn't too strong, and so it all went with the beef broth. Yeah, you need a little. You need a little. And that made it good. But I'm going to tell you right now, you can't mess those beef ribs up. The hardest part of that recipe is sourcing beef ribs. And that's what all the questions this week have been about. Where did I get them? Where do you get those beef ribs? Well, these, I got them from Kevin and Jordan down at the butcher shop in Pensacola, Florida. And they do ship. I mean, you don't have to drive to Pensacola, Florida to get them. But
they'll ship to anybody.
Somebody asked. In the U.S., I'm sure they're not going to ship out of 50, the lower 50.
Yeah, but they're set up for shipping. They're not just shipping.
Yeah, no, they're set up for shipping because, they're selling more A9 briskets than anybody I know.
Yeah. Because
their briskets are hand selected. I mean, they're selling some awesome meat.
Yeah.
And pork, the ribs, any brand of ribs you want, any brand of pork butt you want, you can get from them too. But that doesn't limit them. You can get anything. Those tri-tips I got from them. These beef ribs were phenomenal.
He's the hot new man in the meat game.
Man, it's the hottest thing going I know of.
Yeah.
But so these were prime choice USDA prime beef plate ribs. They come, usually they're 3 or 4 bones. It depends on how they break them off. These, I think most of them, I cooked 4 racks because they come in a pack of 4. And I busted them out. I think one of them did have 3 bones, but most of them had 4 bones this time. And it's pretty much part of the chuck, I guess the chuck area of so you think of up before you get to the ribeye section, shoulder back before the ribs. I forget what rib bones it is. They showed us when we went up to Certified Angus. It was like ribs 4, 5, and 6 or 5, 6, and 7. I mean, they know which, there's a certain section of those ribs they use for that. And when they cut them out. And it's awesome piece of meat. I mean, the ribeye is like right behind it. Mm-hmm. The good of what you call the chuck roll is kind of right there, which that's where that tri-tip area or tri-heart area of a ribeye steak is, the front end of the rib loin, And so the meat there's marbled up. It is. It's tender. It's so good. And if the best way. Bone. Yeah, you get the bone, and I love meat on the bone is awesome.
I don't care what you say; it tastes better.
Yeah, and there's people that say, "Oh, the bone doesn't make a difference." Hey, I think it does. I mean, to me,
then hand it to me.
Yeah, hand it to me because I want that handle. And the best way to describe it is if you've had really good brisket point. It's kind of fatty. It's got a lot of moisture in it, and it's got a lot of flavor in it because of that fat. It is pretty much brisket point on a bone.
It's got a little ribeye flavor too.
Yeah, it has a ribeye flavor. I mean. That's what it tastes like to me. And it's so good. So once you source it, now you can go to your regular butcher store, grocery stores. If you see short ribs in the butcher case, like they'll be in a little package and there'll be 4 or 5 little sections of short ribs they've cut up and they jack the price up just because they cut them up. They're usually about $7.99, $8.99 a pound at that point. But if you can tell that butcher, hey, I want to buy those before y'all cut them up. And even Costco or Sam's has them, but you have to catch them before they cut them up to sell them, to you. And that's what that slab of ribs is. And they're usually going to come in a big pack, 3 or 4 pieces to it. The ones I've seen, I've found them at Kroger. I found them just a regular, like a local grocery store.
The first time you found them and asked someone, I want to buy the whole plate. I don't want you. And he's like, what are you going to do with that?
Right. They looked at me like I was crazy. It's like, man, why wouldn't you cook it like this? But the cook is simple. You put some seasoning on it. I hit it with AP because I just like the salt, pepper, garlic. I hit it with the Mojo beef, and then I put a little steak rub, just like you cook a brisket. I mean, identical. You cook a brisket.
You could just do salt, pepper, garlic.
Yeah, you could. And you could make that go whichever way you wanted to. If you wanted to marinate them, if you wanted to turn it into like an Asian style, whatever you wanted to do with it, you could do with those ribs. And then you cook it pretty much like a brisket. It just doesn't take as long. I mean, 4 hours in at 250, they had all the bark you wanted on them. I'd already got some smoke in there. I used hickory and pecan. You could use post oak. You could use whatever wood you want to use to cook beef. And then, once they get that bark going, I spritzed them about, once the bark got set, about an hour and a half in, I started spritzing them every 60 minutes with that mop. And then I wrapped them up in butcher paper just to get, I wasn't really trying to braise them. You could wrap them in foil, but foil is going to lose that bark that I worked so hard to get. It's going to soften that up. I mean, the meat's going to be really moist and tender because it's going to trap all that juice in there. But I liked them in the butcher paper, honestly. Mm-hmm. I thought once I put them in the cooler and let them rest an hour, I mean, you could tell they calmed down. The butcher paper absorbed anything that was in there. And so you cut them, man, the knife just slid right through them. And the meat would jump off the bone. I mean, it pulled off those bones so easy. And I left the membrane on the back. I've seen different things. The restaurant settings, man, they never pull. You go to these classic, Texas style steakhouses barbecue houses that are doing beef ribs. They don't pull the membrane off all those ribs. It holds the meat on. You're not eating that side of it anyway.
Corky's isn't pulling their membrane off pork ribs.
You can if you want to. What it's going to happen is if you notice when I was picking those up, moving them around, they weren't falling apart. But if you pull that membrane off, they're going to be falling. I mean, that bone's nothing's holding it there because the top of the meat's cooking right off. I mean, it kind of has almost like a double membrane, but you're not getting a ton of flavor on that side. If you're going to eat it from that bottom side, if there's actually some meat there, I could see you wanting to pull that off. But
by the time
the meat
cooks,
sits on top of those bones, and then you've got that membrane holding it together.
Yeah.
So
by the time it cooks, the meat's kind of cooked away from the membrane.
it does,
either,
and it cooks away from the bone on those too. I have seen them where they'll take a knife and they'll slice that whole slab of short rib meat off that plate, just leaving the bone still there with the membrane. And then you can take that meat and slice it just like you slice brisket point. Instead of serving it
You're
a big
about
bone.
raw or cooked?
No. Cooked.
Cooked. Okay.
Cooked. So instead of cutting it into individual bones, they'll turn the knife sideways along with the bones and go underneath the meat.
Okay.
And then you've got that whole piece of short rib meat that you can sit on the cutting board and slice however you want it. But I mean, most times in a restaurant setting, you see it sliced into big dino bones.
Yeah, that's the biggest
I mean, that's the draw.
Yeah.
It looks cool on the bone. It's got something to handle. And you can't eat more than, if you can eat a whole one. It's so rich. I mean, man, it's just filling. It's good. We made tacos with it the next day. Awesome. It was a lot of meat, you know.
We still have meat in the fridge.
I've actually I was looking at Adam Perry Lang's website about his restaurant out there in LA, and they're doing a short rib steak. And I guarantee you they're taking that, slicing it off that bone and cutting it into steak pieces and then cooking it. So I kind of want to try it.
You may want to go there anyway.
Oh, no, I definitely want to go to the restaurant. I just want to try that, see how it would cook like that. But, you know, another great way for those ribs they call them, and I've seen them in Sam's or grocery stores too, they call it flanking style short ribs. And basically they're taking them they're cutting it across the bone. They leave all 3 or 4 pieces of bone in there, and they cut them about as thick as you'd slice a brisket, like a 1/4 inch thick. And it's kind of
Wait, it's on the bone?
yeah, it's kind of, I've cooked them for you before. It was like that Korean style flanking rib, flanking short rib.
That's what that is?
Yeah, it's cut into thin strips all the way across. They run it down the meat saw. And they're awesome that way. You can marinate them and grill them over a high heat, and then you kind of just eat it away from the bone, you know.
The
has a little different texture.
Asian-y flavor. It's
so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
I need to do some of those kind of that same more of a 250 instead of like direct heat, because most of the time they do them over direct heat. It's more
they're
of
cooking
grilling.
hot, fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet if you slowed it down and you got a good marinade, good seasoning on it, and you could come back and put like a little Asian glaze on top of it.
It would just pop right out of those bones.
Oh man, it'd melt in your mouth. Be good. New recipe right there.
New recipe. You know, one thing when I was editing the video, I realized a lot of the same tips that you give as far as like checking the internals and knowing when it's done can be applied to brisket.
Oh,
too.
yeah. It's exactly like it. It's just a quicker brisket cook, really.
Because you're not going necessarily by times. You're going by color, then you're wrapping, then you're going by internals and feel. The difference
in a brisket and cooking those ribs like that is that the brisket's tough. It's a real working muscle. You know, where these are, we're talking the ribeye steaks there, that chuck rolls there, all that good tender meat. And so this meat isn't tough.
Yeah.
Naturally. I mean, it's got a lot of fat, a lot of marble, and you need to break down, but it's not tough meat. And it's similar to brisket in the way it's marbled and flavored to point, but that point's a lot tougher. I mean, you couldn't take brisket point and slice it into like a steak and cook it, and it'd still be real chewy. You'd have to work at it. This meat just melt in your mouth.
Could you wrap it, like you said, you could wrap it in foil?
Yeah, you could wrap it in foil. No problem. Was
the rest necessary?
Yes. It's necessary. I mean, I rest everything.
Yeah.
Anything you've been cooking like that, that's really low and slow. But big meat, it needs that time to reabsorb that moisture, to stop cooking, to let it calm down. I mean, heck, 1 hour minimum. I would have liked to have let them set for 2 or 3.
Yeah. And somebody did ask, are you serving cold ribs? But when you put it in a cooler,
no, it wasn't cold.
Yeah.
Them bones were burning my hands.
Yeah.
I mean, they're radiating heat.
And that was an hour.
You have to, and that's one thing. If you notice in the video, I said come back every 15 minutes and burp that cooler, because you got to let that steam out. Because when you got to think you've got some big pieces of meat up to 200 degrees. Well, all that's radiating. Those bones are hot. That meat, and you're just putting it in that box. Well, it's trapping it, so it's steady. Wanting to try to cook it a little more. You know, we proved like when we put those butts in there that it really, depending on the size of the box, the cooler, how much mass you have in there.
Yeah.
If it's going to continue to hold it up there.
I think that experiment that we did, we'd really, to rely on that information, we'd have to do 100 of them.
Yeah.
Take a mean,
And fill a cooler up with butts. Because I've seen that continue to cook them after you put that many in there. But,
and those little party stacker coolers are really good. How much do those cost?
Man, they're under $20. I bought them on Amazon. I think Walmart sells them.
Yeah.
I bought the first one at Walmart, but it's hard to find them. So I think they had a 4-pack.
Were they prime?
Yeah. They were prime. I think I bought 4 of them, and they were like $17.88 a piece if you bought 4. And I bought them for holding ribs. I mean, they would hold
Comp ribs,
24 slabs of ribs at Memphis In
But
May.
you don't have as much room to fill up inside one of those
That's
stackers.
right.
Especially if you're not cooking up a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And they're easy to keep clean,
Yep.
There's no
They're easier than Cambro.
Yeah. Yes, they're easier than a Cambro.
I think so. I mean, you're not going to get as much. You can't hold a full pan in them, but they will hold a whole brisket or 2 butts or,
Several
6 slabs of ribs,
yeah.
easy, still wrapped.
But I'd rather have...
Or 4 slabs of big old dino bones.
I'd rather have a stack of those in my garage that we can grab,
Yeah, because we use them. I mean, I use them for all kinds of things. They make, I'll tell you what they do make. They'll hold a whole case of beer and you ice it down, leave the top off, set it right by the pool, and you got a fun-filled day right there. And I'm fixing to prove that here in just a little while. My next stop is the beer store.
What are you going with?
Today? It's going to be domestic. I don't know.
Of course. I'm thinking a little ultra.
Oh, yeah. Because we need to rehydrate.
Yeah.
Right? Take it slow.
Take it slow.
You don't want to hurt the liver, right? It's pretty much just water-flavored beer.
So I had this question. We've gone to other, that almost Austin-style barbecue restaurant where you go through the line and they're cutting it right there and you tell them how many pounds you want.
Yeah.
We've done several of those, and I've seen a lot of them have them wrapped in plastic wrap, when they're storing them. Why do they do that?
Just preserve it more.
Yeah.
And that's
So are they pulling it?
Well, that's probably part of their little operating procedure things. Because, when you're in a restaurant setting, you got to do stuff a little different. So they'll wrap it in plastic wrap and then wrap it in
Butcher
paper.
Yeah.
But,
is that their rest?
A lot.
Or are they doing that?
They're doing that. No, they're doing that when they're taking them off the pit, I would imagine.
Okay.
But it may be something with food safety that they have to or something. I really don't know the answer to that. I've seen it.
Yeah.
And I know people do use a lot of plastic wrap in a restaurant setting. They'll wrap their pans and then wrap them in full. It holds it better, keeps it longer, but they're putting them in those warmers like Alto Shams or proofing ovens and holding them at 100. You have to do all that when you're serving the masses and cooking at home. Cooler does just fine because we're not letting them sit in any danger zone for any amount of time before we eat them anyway.
But I was just wondering if there was some secret that the...
No, I don't think so. I mean,
you think it's just food safety?
I've wrapped ribs in plastic wrap like that, and then for catering. Now, if I'm taking food to a party or something like that, I do like to put the pork or whatever it is in a pan, cover that pan in plastic wrap because it keeps it from spilling, and then cover it in full.
And it holds
the heat in more. So
So
there's a good. I mean, it's not a bad idea to use it.
Did you like these Mojo Beef Ribs? Were you happy with your
man?
drink
Oh God, they were so delicious.
They were very good.
They will hurt you. They will hurt.
I'm a fan of beef.
Well, we did have the turkey tacos. The turkey tacos are good. They won't hurt you. But those bacon burn ends and these beef ribs, don't do those together. You're gonna hurt some people. You're gonna start some fights. There's, people going, it's going to be a riot. Don't serve them at the same time. You're going to have people, man, there's going to be folks mad they can't cook that good.
Really what's going to happen is folks are going to be in comatose.
They're going to be laid out. You think turkey lays them out at Thanksgiving from the tryptophan. Wait till they eat beef ribs and bacon burn ends. It really hurt them.
That'd be a heck of a Memorial Day right there.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that in the sun either. Don't do that. Man, if you're going to eat it in the AC, have you some stretchy pants you put on or something. 'Cause I'm telling you, man, they're good, but God, they're so rich and delicious, and everything I said about them is true. I promise you.
They're the tacos
that ain't made. That ain't fabricated. That's a fact, Jack. They are good.
The next night, you made some tacos, but we didn't want to go to the store, so we didn't have, cilantro and
Just had leftover turkey taco shells.
and some hot sauce.
And some tortilla cheese.
Yeah. And they were so good.
Man, I just shredded it. You know what I did? So we put some of those in Ziploc bags and, we give them out to folks or whatever. And I just popped one of them Ziploc bags in the microwave for a minute and it got it really hot, like sealed up. Radar love, as Mike Mills likes to call it. Gave it a little radar love. Pulled it out, put it on the top of cutting board, and I just used the edge of the knife and just kind of shredded it. I didn't cut. I just kind of, shredded it real quick, and then drizzled it with a little bit. I can't remember what sauce I had there.
One of them used that mustard vinaigrette.
Yeah,
the other one used,
yeah.
I think it was Mike Mills.
I think it was his little heat or something like that, whatever it calls. And just drizzled it over once we put it on the shell with a little of that cheese. I mean, we didn't have any slaw, we didn't have any of the pickled onions, but all that would have been, it had been.
You made me two, and I was like, I don't want two, I just want one.
And then and they're all gone, aren't they? God, they were good.
So, what would you do differently? Is there anything you would do differently? Anything you'd like to try, and maybe the next go round? No. Just that one recipe you just came up with.
Well, I mean,
to take the flanking style and do it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I don't care whatever you put on them, it's going to be good. You could go probably just salt and pepper, and they blow you away. There's no, that recipe is it's such easy. It's so easy to cook those things.
If you can hold your pit steady.
Sourcing them is the hardest part because you can't hardly mess them up.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm checking my email.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to our main topic.
What's our main topic this week?
Memorial Day cooking.
Right. To me, that means ribs. And so let's just talk about what kind of ribs that I think are the best to cook.
That you think.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you what I think.
Okay. So for me, Memorial Day, I'm cooking St. Louis cut spare ribs. Of course, you're going to pull the membrane off. I'm going to keep it real simple. A little bit of salt and pepper, and then a little bit of your favorite barbecue rub. Mine just happens to be the barbecue rub, but you could use whatever. Don't go overboard because I want that rib to shine. I'm going to smoke it at 250 degrees. I'm going to put me a little bit of pecan wood in there and a little bit of hickory wood, just like I did those beef ribs. I'm going to give them 2 hours so the color gets right. I'm not spritzing them. I'm not doing anything. I'm just developing some bark, and then I'm going to wrap them up. I'm not going to put anything in that wrap. Just wrap them up. I don't want any moisture in there. I just want
no butter, no nothing.
No butter. I ain't doing nothing sweet. Nothing sweet. I'm going to wrap them for their tender. It's going to take about an hour and a half, and then I'm going to check them, and I guarantee you they're going to be about 202 degrees internal if you need to probe them, but you don't really have to. You just pull on the bones a little bit and see if they're soft. Then I'm going to take them back out of that wrap, put them right back on the grill, and I'm going to sprinkle a little more dry rub over the top, and that's how I'm going to eat them. That's the best eating rib to me. I'm going to serve it with some vinegar sauce on the side. No sauce on top. That, to me, says Memorial Day. It says, because, I mean, when I think of Memorial Day, I think of barbecue. Yeah, I think of barbecue with family, how we grew up, and good eating ribs. I'm not trying to do anything fancy with them. I'm not trying to make them sweet. I'm not trying to press a judge. I'm just cooking some ribs that you can eat, and you can sit down and eat a slab of those ribs. They're not, they're not over the top. They're not going to hurt you. You know what I mean? They make you want to go back for another one. And that's my favorite way to eat them. Now, you can do all the other stuff that we do. And I've got, we've got a bunch of recipes out there on how to make, comp style ribs or different style flavor ribs. But that's for me, that is the best way to eat a rib. It's simple. I mean, if you keep it at 250, you put some smoke on it till you get your bark set, you wrap them up to get them tender, and you take them off and set them with a little dry rub. That's the perfect rib. Now, what do you think?
Very close to what you said. I want them cooked on the drum.
Oh, you want them?
I want hot rub.
You want the spice?
I want a little spice, a little more savoriness.
I got you.
Maybe AP and hot, but I would definitely do the hot.
Well, why do you like the drum?
You know why I like the drum? Because it tastes drummy.
Well, I know why.
It tastes like
the fat drips out and it hits those coals and it comes back up and it mixes with the smoke and the heat and it tastes like barbecue's supposed to taste,
Yeah.
like real pit barbecue.
Yes.
And I'll tell you this, if you're cooking on drums, don't put too much wood on it. You don't need a whole lot, especially if you're using a
Some
good
days
charcoal.
we don't even throw a chunk of wood on.
Heck no, I've got my drum so seasoned I don't have to. It produces that flavor without wood. If I do put some wood on it, it's only a chunk or 2 small chunks. You can mix like a hickory chunk and a pecan chunk, but don't, you'll see me on some videos like on the old hickory. I can put 5 or 6 pieces of wood on there, or in some of the other cookers, the Jambo, we're cooking with whole sticks of wood. You can't do that in a drum because
it's so direct.
It's so direct. It's right there. The fire, you kind of got the airflow choked off more on a drum. Mm-hmm. So it's different. It's a different type of smoke.
That's another thing too. It sits in that.
Yeah, it sits in
there.
there.
Not a lot of air from moving.
Yeah, it's just whatever's drawing in, moving out. You're regulating that. That's how you're keeping those temps low enough. And you can over smoke something so easy on a drum. It just doesn't take much wood. And use a good charcoal. That's the one thing. Use a charcoal that's made out of a good hard wood that's got some of it in there. I mean, I don't care if it's Royal Oak or even some B&B gives it some flavor or something like that. Or, that Kingsford Blue Bag. I know it's cheap right now. And, if that's what you want to use, fine, go to it. But
it's got a lot
you're paying for a lot of filler. Yeah. But some good, even lump does great in a drum. I use lump a lot of times. I mean, Blues Hog makes a lump. Royal Oak's got a good lump. Big Green Egg's got a good lump. There's a bunch of good lump out there. And that's natural. Got flavor. You almost don't need any wood with lump coal. It's got so much flavor to it.
And I want them wrapped.
In a drum.
I want them wrapped in butcher paper instead of foil.
I got you.
Yeah.
You want to get that moisture off of them, so.
Yeah.
You want Texas style rib pretty much.
Kinda,
a little spicy.
I don't know. Maybe
a little spicy.
I do want them wrapped in foil now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah. I like that Texas style. There's nothing wrong with that.
I want them both ways.
You want one rack wrapped in full. You are hard to please, woman. I got you.
I am.
So we may have to do that. I'll cook some on the Jambo. I'll cook some on the drum. We'll compare and contrast for Memorial Day.
Yeah. So
that's 4 racks of ribs.
We've been kind of blowing and going here, so we're kind of taking it easy this weekend. But if we were going to throw a big Memorial Day party,
what do you got to have?
Yeah, what's our menu going to look like?
Well,
because we've done parties like this multiple times in the past.
First thing, I'm having sausage and cheese, but I'm not going cube cheese like normally we do. Mm-hmm. I'm going pimento cheese, homemade pimento cheese. I want you to make it, and I want it to be that white, made with the white cheddar and jalapeno. Man, it's some good stuff. And you get a cracker, you get you a piece of sausage, and you get some pimento cheese to put on top, and one of the sweet fire pickles. It's really cracker,
pimento cheese.
Sausage pickle.
Sausage pickle.
I don't care what order you want to layer it in, but it's got to have that element. That's going to be the first thing.
Yes.
We're going to have ribs.
I put ribs 2 ways.
We're going to have some pork. We're going to have some pulled pork. I don't think a brisket for Memorial Day. I don't know why.
Either. It's
I think
heavy.
I think it's just pork. I mean, that's what I grew up with. I don't really think a brisket for it.
Well, I didn't put pulled pork. I said, you could.
You can have barbecue sandwich.
Well, I put, you got to do something for the kids.
Hot dogs.
Or sliders or something.
Hamburgers. Hot dogs.
I'm liking the sliders a lot more now because they're small,
Yeah.
I want to try it all.
You want to have choices when you do it?
Yeah, so I want a little burger.
See, that's a pain in the butt to cook, though. Cooking a bunch of little ones.
Did they make like frozen slider?
I'm sure they do. Somebody does. I don't do some frozen burgers. I like making them my own with my little Tupperware pressure outer. And the ones that I like doing now are just the no flips, where you just put them on the pellet grill and let them roll until that's the easiest way to cook a burger.
So juicy too.
And they get so much flavor in them.
If you're doing a party and cooking a bunch of burgers for folks,
that's the best way to do it.
It is.
Yeah. You don't have to tend the grill. Just put them on there and let them go swimming, drink a beer.
How long does it take a no-flip burger on a
About
pellet?
45 minutes.
45 minutes.
Yeah. It doesn't take, that's just like quarter-pound burger or, third-pound burger.
Everybody will
If you go thicker, it takes a little bit longer. But
you serve that juicy, and it gets a lot of, it gets a little smoky flavor.
It does. You get a smoke ring on it. And then you lay your cheese right on top at the end if they want cheese on it. It melts perfect. It's just the easiest way to cook a burger. And you're not standing over the grill.
Yeah.
I even do hot dogs on the pellet grill. Have you ever, those you just throw a pack of hot dogs on the top rack and come back 15, 20 minutes later and they're perfect. They really are. I
don't like a charry hot dog.
Me either. I don't want it all burnt up.
Yeah.
I just want I want the skin to be right on the outside of it. I don't want it to be kind of, it's not really raw, but you know what I mean? I want it to have some grilled flavor on the outside, but a pellet grill does a hot dog awesome. I've even done them on the Old Hickory. Old Hickory, man, we were doing a catering event one time. We cooked 2 racks of hot dogs, those big quarter-pound dogs.
I got a picture of it somewhere.
Man, they were so good. Smoked hot dog. It's good.
Jeff Tony used to sell them at his food truck.
That's right.
Hot dogs.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
So we're
gonna have something for the kids.
You gotta have hot dogs for the kids, or chicken legs, or something like that.
Something like that. I'm not doing wings for Memorial Day.
Not
it's all about just regular old barbecue.
Yeah.
Ribs.
So we're
and pork,
talking ribs 2 ways.
coleslaw potato salad,
Pulled pork, hot dogs for the kids,
and
then
I want creamy sweet coleslaw, chopped
Southern
up real
style.
fine, Southern style, not the long shredded stuff.
Yeah.
And then just good potato salad, like mustard potato
I was
salad.
craving some like homemade,
not the
salad.
bacony, cheesy kind.
No,
not the over the top. Just the standard grandma's potato salad.
You know what I was craving the other day is your grilled corn salad.
That one doesn't say Memorial Day to me because corn isn't in yet.
That's true. It's
but
more July
4th of
4th.
July is when I always do that. And that because the sweet corn's in and you do that and mix it with tomatoes and it has like a little mayo base to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
It's got a little.
We'll have to talk about that 4th of July. Have I
Yeah.
ever put that recipe out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a video on it.
That's a good one, man.
But you definitely
Something
want,
you don't eat
Yeah.
a couple times a year because, you got to have good fresh corn.
But if we're building our menu, we're going to have 3 sides. You're going to have, and it could be a broccoli salad. I have a really good broccoli salad recipe. And something that we had lately that was really good was that 7-layer salad.
Yeah. Shane's wife did.
Yes.
That's really good.
Or
I
a
usually
pasta
do
salad.
beans.
Yeah. Or
Memorial Day, you
beans.
got to have beans, got to have slaw, got to have potato salad.
So those would be your
ribs.
3 sides. Beans,
Ribs and pulled
potato
pork,
salad. You
sausage,
go
pimento.
completely traditional.
You've done talked me into it. I'm going to the store. You got to get beer. Might as well get all this stuff.
So
All of a sudden,
please.
everybody come over, getting in the pool.
You got to have 2 dips.
Shouldn't have done the podcast today. I got pumped up now. I've
Let's
rested
get
all
focused.
week.
We're just pretending.
All right. We're not pretending. This is going down. I'm telling you.
Okay. We typically would have 2 dips. If we're throwing a big party, you got to have some dips.
Yeah, I don't think a dip's for Memorial Day. You can do whatever you want.
Gotta have dips.
What kind?
Like a
Ranch
crack dip. Yeah, like a ranch dip with chips.
I can do that.
Ponchos. You got to have a dip.
Yeah, okay. Ponchos now. You got me there.
Yeah.
You got to have some ponchos. But that's the case if you want to make nachos or something, you could.
You could do a
Have some
nacho bar.
ponchos.
Yeah. If you were going to do pulled
You're
pork,
going
go
over
ahead
the
and do
top
it.
for your Memorial Day get together.
It's a party.
Okay. I'm hearing it. It's going down.
This is pretend. Okay, dessert. You got to have a dessert. Fruit pizza is what I put.
No, I'm not doing fruit pizza.
Layered fruit parfait.
That's a good one.
Where I do the
whipped cream, the Cool Whip, and all that.
with the little cakes
the
and then your fruit.
Yeah, that's really good. Something like that is what I think of because it's
too.
hot outside. Homemade ice cream, Memorial Day, it's a great time.
That reminds me of July 4th too.
Homemade ice cream. Yeah, something cool. We're not doing anything hot. Like, it's got to be something like that for Memorial Day. Something that'll stand up to that parfait, that layered, fruit parfait is really good. Have you ever done that? Like,
It's like a trifle.
wrote the recipe out for it or whatever? Or you turned it in
I'm not good
a
at
contest
writing
one time,
recipes.
didn't you?
Yeah. I'm not talking about the one with the chocolate. I'm talking the one with the white. It's like angel food cake.
Well, that's the 4th of July one where it's red, white, and blue.
yeah.
See? Memorial Day, we got to break into these summer gatherings, so you're getting ahead of us.
You can just get some cupcakes or cookies for the kids
That's
too.
it. Keep that simple.
Yeah.
Break out the margarita machine. That'll be dessert. You can do frozen drinks.
Okay, I'm on board.
You're on board now. I knew I'd get you. It's frozen boat drinks.
We haven't had the margarita machine out
It's
in a long
been
time.
since Labor Day, probably. It's time.
And we do a fruit water. I have a big pitcher, and I fill it with water, put a little ice in there, and then I put fruit in there.
Fresh fruit.
Yeah. And it encourages you to drink more water, which is always a good thing.
We got that.
It's really good. We went to a resort.
Yeah, they had every little station you went to at the resort down in the, where were we at?
Turks.
Yeah, they had, I think Jamaica had it too. But you just go get you some little fresh fruit water. It's refreshing. And it's real simple to make. Man, Kroger sells these big decanters, and they're cheap. It's like a clear glass thing, holds probably 2 gallons or 3 gallons.
Yeah. I've got a nicer one. I like to.
But it's just water. I like to put cherries in there, put some lime in there, strawberries.
I try to do it different every time.
Fruit,
yeah.
Pineapple. Mix it up, put some mint in there.
We'll do different things. Yeah.
Makes a really good enhanced water. And if you're out hanging out, especially if you got to, if you're going to be out there with a bunch of people and you need to rehydrate because, if you
and
drink
kids are more likely.
If you're drinking out, kids will drink it. But if you're drinking alcohol in the sun, it's hot like that, you don't realize it. You get dehydrated. Mm-hmm. So here's my thing. 2 beers, big cup of water. 2 beers, big cup of water. No hangover. You stay hydrated. Keeps the kidneys flushed, especially if you're drinking Ultra or something, water beer. If you're drinking IPAs, you might want to do 1 and 1.
That's a whole different story.
We drink those when the sun goes down. So that's like late night beer.
Ugh.
But, so that's our Memorial Day. I don't know if anybody wanted to know, but we told them. You don't think it's going to be fun? You ought to come hang out with us.
We had a couple questions this week that I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
Normally they were emailed to me, and normally I can handle anything. These 2 I could not handle.
I know which one.
I was like, you're going to have to handle this.
Is this the mountain lion one? So we got a question. I think it was from David. He wanted to know, because I answered it earlier today, and he had a buddy that gave him a mountain lion. First of
all, is a mountain lion
hindquarter?
Can you eat mountain lion? Is that legal?
There's a season for it, I guess. I've never ate it. And in fact, I told him this was what I would say. If somebody asked me how to cook a mountain lion hindquarter. It's a lot like wild game. I mean, it's wild game.
Yeah.
So you think of deer and you think of antelope. No, I never cooked a cat. No, but I'm guessing, he says it's really lean. There's not any fat on it. I get that.
Yeah, it's a
So you're going to get some seasoning on it, get some flavor inside it, inject it, brine it, do something like that. Put it on some smoke for a little while till you get, a little bark layer built on the outside, get some smoke, and then wrap it up and braise it till it falls apart. Have no idea if you can eat it, rare, mid-rare. I wouldn't want to find out. But I did also tell him that one of my favorite a show that I watch a lot, I do DVR, it's called Meat Eater. And it's this guy's named Steve Ranella. He's got a podcast.
Yeah.
He's
pretty big known.
Yeah, he is real big known. He's a hunter, but he advocates eating everything he harvests. Yeah. And I know I saw the episode I watched, they went mountain lion hunting, but they didn't get one. But I guarantee you he probably does have some recipes. I don't know the guy. I follow him on, all of his social channels. I'm a fan of him. But I think his show's really good. So check it. If you're into cooking wild game, you want to learn more about it, and maybe he'll answer questions. I don't know. Send him an email. But it's worth checking out.
You send me your best mountain lion.
So, yeah. And I want to know, I don't know if David listens to this, and I probably need to respond to him. I want to know. I want to see pictures and how that mountain lion turned out.
Yeah.
Because, I've heard people eating bear. Is it similar to eating bear meat?
I've never had anything that resembles mountain lion. I wonder what that would taste like. I imagine chicken. Deer and goat and chicken.
I imagine it tastes like, I don't know.
It's a big cat.
Yeah, I would think it'd be gamey. I don't know. What do you think? It's a cat. It eats other animals.
They're pretty mean.
It definitely doesn't eat vegetation.
That's true.
I wouldn't want one after me.
That's true. It's a meat eater, yeah.
It's a straight meat eater.
On higher up that food chain.
That's right. Yeah.
So the next question you got was about, and I just didn't know the best. This one wasn't that odd or anything. I just didn't know the best way to do it. But someone was cooking a 50-pound hog, which is a smaller hog. That
question, he wanted to know if it was better to cook one that size, belly up, or racing style. He cooked them both ways, and he would just want to know my opinion. And my answer to that is It depends on if you're going for presentation. And I'd say this on a 150-pound hog too. Do you want presentation or do you want the best eating meat? For me, the best eating meat, when you're cooking a whole hog, comes from a belly up hog, because the skin acts kind of as a bowl, catches everything, traps all the flavors, all the moistures, all the fat that's rendering out in it. And so the meat tastes better. You didn't get as dry. You're not losing things out of it. And it gives you more surface area when you open it up, you trim it out, remove some of the fat, some of the sinew, some of the skin, expose more of those muscles. You can actually build bark on it. And so that, everybody knows bark tastes really good. And so to me, the meat's more tender. It has more flavor. You get more smoke in it, cooking it belly up. That's your good eating hog. Does it look as good presentation-wise? It doesn't look as good as a racing hog.
Yeah, it doesn't. Racing
hog's got that beautiful skin. It's laying there. It's a showpiece. So if you're cooking for a big crowd, that racing style, and you're wanting people to take pictures, and most everybody wants to do something like that, racing style is a good choice. A lot of people get offended when you put out a belly hog because it just looks, you're seeing the anatomy of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't look all cute. He's laying there open and we're finna eat him, all his parts. That racing hog's laying there,
you see a backbone.
He might get up and run off. He might, he's just resting. And so that's what I told him, and you got to think when you're cooking it racing style, stuff's dripping out. You're not getting as much smoke in it. You're not building any hardy bark on it at all. And it's good and it's like, good smoked roasted pork, but
tips you can do to pack that.
Yeah, you can inject it. You can do some things in it, but as far as eating, it's not as good. I also suggested if you're cooking one that size, to go ahead and supplement with some extra butts just to make sure you have enough pulled pork to go around, because there's not a lot of meat on a 50-pound hog. I mean, you're going, it's one thing. The loins are small, the shoulders are smaller. I mean, there's some meat to it, but it's just not. If the perfect size of whole hog to cook is when they get to about 150 pounds. That's where you really get some good sized shoulders, good sized hams, the loins well defined and long, and it all cooks about the same rate. Smaller ones, you're going to pretty much, if you don't know what you're doing, you can mess those, whatever loins there, you're going to totally mess it up because you got to get that ham done. That ham's usually that larger muscle group in a hog that size.
Yeah.
So unless you're cooking the suckling ones and they're all about the same size.
So you could do it with racing style. Throw you a couple butts and baby those and have some really good.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd present it racing size. When I got ready to serve it after everybody took their pictures and you're letting them line up, I'd bring out some pans of pulled pork, put behind me, and then I'd take my knife and cut down the top of the backbone and down the hams and shoulders and peel that off, pull some of that meat, serve, you could serve pulled pork, from the hog or from your butts that you've got there, and then getting a little bit of all of it.
Yeah.
And that's a great way to do it.
That would be your biggest
showpiece of it. And you still got a good side. And eventually you're going to break the whole thing down as the dinner service or whatever you're doing goes on. But
speaking of hog loin,
I learned that from Mike Mills, and that's what they do. And he presented his. I was like, man, this is the coolest way to do it. It's very professional.
Yeah.
It looks really good sitting there on the table like that.
And he's cutting it open and pulling it out, almost like he's doing a presentation.
Yeah. And if he needs any extra meat, he's got that too. So
yeah. But speaking of whole hog loin, Ben, cooking with Grillo, came down and let us try his loin. It was one of the better loins out of a hog I've had.
Yeah, he told me what he did. He chilled that before they wrapped it that night. They put, I forget how many pounds. I want to say it's 20 or 30 pounds of ice on top of it, and then they wrapped the hog up. Were they cooking racing or belly? I think they cooked 3 hogs. I think they cooked some different ways.
Yeah.
But whatever he did, man, it was on point. Because when he got there that morning, he said the hams and the shoulders were like 195, hams were like 190, but his loin was sitting at 140. And when he cut it out and brought it down there, man, it would just melt in your mouth. Packed full of flavor.
That's some skill.
It was good.
I was surprised, cook a hog where your loin's 140 and your shoulders.
That's the hard part. Yeah. Dwayne had his down. He'd done something where he had made, I don't know, Dwayne's a crazy scientist when it comes to stuff, but he made actually like an evaporator cool that the hog lays on, and they run cool water through it the whole time, and he can watch it, and he's got his loins probed to where he can see what temperature they are, so he can increase. If they're getting ahead, he can increase the cool water. If he needs some more heat to them, he shut the water down completely or close it down.
Did you go and see how it works?
No, I didn't. I should have. I didn't. You don't have much time.
Yeah.
But just him explaining that to me, I was like, man, that's crazy outside the box there.
And he got.
I didn't try.
He get 10th
They were in
place.
top 10. Yeah.
He cooked with 17th Street.
Yeah. And man, he did. I need to go pay some close attention to that. That's really
really interesting.
Yeah. They cooked them on the old hickory double wide at the double wide CTO.
So he built this coal to set it on.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Laid the hog on it.
That's what we're up against. I mean, that's how competitive this.
Ribs.
Yeah, that's how competitive this competition
That's right.
barbecue
That's
can
right.
get.
It can.
Well, it's time to go to the beer store.
It's time. Well, that's all we got for today.
I guess.
It's
Yeah.
my favorite part. Hey, I want everybody out there, hope y'all have a great Memorial Day holiday. And be thankful that we're here and for the guys and, men and women that lost their lives, fighting for what we can do. We can be here and barbecue for our freedom. So that's a serious note. And I hope everybody, has a great time. And you can check us out where, Shell?
If you'd like to connect with Malcolm, it's HowToBBQRight at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and, of course, YouTube. If you'd like to connect with me, it's Miss Southern Shell at Instagram and Twitter. I don't check Twitter.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do.
We'll see y'all next time. Y'all put some smoke in there.